So, UK economy revision. This is the topic we did as we came back from our summer holidays this year, year 11, or year 10 if you're watching this in the future. This is in the Changing Economic World section, section B. There are lots of words that we used in this section, such as quaternary, tertiary, north south divide, inequality, etc., which I'm going to talk through now. So, causes of economic change in the UK. So, we were pre industrial. This is before the Industrial Revolution. Most people worked in primary, agricultural, or mining. Then we had industrial. So, as you can see on that graph on the right hand side, secondary and tertiary is starting to increase, and primary is decreasing when we get into the industrial area. Post-industrial, our tertiary is rising, and then we start to get our quaternary, which remember is scientific and research-based, and our primary is very low, in making up our percentage of UK employment, and our secondary is starting to decrease. Some of the reasons for us not manufacturing anymore in the UK, so deindustrialization, is cheaper labour abroad. TNCs use places in Asia, in South America, because the laws are not as strict as here and we don't have to pay them a fair working wage, which is sad, but it means that they can make more of a profit. Technology replaced people's jobs. So if we think about cars, machines, robots now do that job instead of humans, so it requires less people. And there is a lack of investment in industry and machinery, as well as globalization. And that is, in the simplest of terms, the world, us becoming better interconnected. And because we are better interconnected, it means we can trade easier. It means we can have foreign investment, communication between different countries, sharing of ideas. If you work in finance or law, you can communicate with someone in Asia, in New Zealand, in America, for example. And then another reason for economic change in the UK is the government and the government's policies. So we discussed Margaret Thatcher. She sold coal and steel industries under something called privatisation, and lots of the factories and pits were closed. They said they could no longer compete with foreign countries where their wages were lower. So that's where the jobs began to go overseas. You might get a question in your GCSE that might say post-industrial economy, which we'll talk about in a second, or deindustrialization, which is why we don't manufacture in the UK anymore. So thinking about how industry can be more sustainable for the environment. The word sustainable is important to note. When you're in an exam, do not panic if you see that word. Think about what can something do to be better for the environment? How can it be more environmentally friendly? So in general, industrial developments could be more sustainable by using technology to reduce the emissions from power plants and heavy industry. So renewable energy. They might have air, water, noise pollution that is monitored, and they might set strict targets. You might get a heavy fine if you impose any industrial pollution in water sources or in the local area. And they also might protect, restore, conserve natural ecosystems to support biodiversity, so planting trees, things like that. Our specific example is Tor Quarry, which is in Somerset. What they have done is they've landscaped the areas, as you can see there, and they've built trees to blend in with the natural surroundings, so it's not as obvious, it's not as scarring to the landscape. They've used the limestone, which is in the local area, to improve the aesthetics of it. They constantly monitor noise, vibrations, dust emissions, water quality. As you can imagine, near a quarry, it is extremely noisy. And something they have done specifically is they take their goods out on rail rather than in big lorries and big trucks, because then it reduces pressure on local roads and little villages and communities, reducing traffic, etc. And something else they have done is deepen the quarry instead of widening it. So that means that they're not taking up any more farmland around it, for example, they are deepening it to get more goods out of it. So if you get asked about how it can be more sustainable for the environment, industry, you can discuss in general, and you can discuss Tor Quarry. So changing population in the UK, we've got two places, the Outer Hebrides, which is in the north of the UK, North Scotland, and that is a decrease in population. People are leaving the Outer Hebrides, the islands, because it is young people. They want opportunities, they want better job opportunities, so they leave, and then there's no children being born on the islands. Your social impact of that is school closures. There are very few schools now, and even secondary schools, that is difficult to come by. And it leaves an aging population. So that means that there's a lot of care required for the older people because the younger people have left. So there's that issue. Economically, maintaining transport services such as ferries and other services are very costly. There's been a decline in traditional fishing, but big companies from Canada, from America, etc., from Norway, Sweden, are coming and fishing in the local area, so that's helped decline it. Tourism is an essential source of income for people going to the Outer Hebrides. As you can see in that picture in the top left, it is beautiful, and that is one positive, that it hasn't remained. It is remaining unchanged. It is beautiful. People want to go see that natural environment with not too much building. However, the infrastructure is struggling to cope with it because there's a lack of investment. Your increase in population is in South Cambridgeshire. People move to the areas, it's nice and rural, but they've got easy access to Cambridge, to London. Socially, services like healthcare, so doctors, your GP, and schools are going to struggle because there are not enough for the population, which means that places are far and few between. There is also increased congestion on local roads, which are often really narrow and it's not fit for the amount of cars. Population increase has put an increased demand on housing, so house prices have rose. Farmland has been lost because it's been sold off. And local businesses, though, may see a boost in trade from new customers. So there is a positive for each. But as you can tell, it is quite negative with the increase in South Cambridge and the decrease in the Outer Hebrides. So thinking about your transport improvements then to help improve the UK economy. We are an island nation, which means we are great for trade because we can have access to a lot of ports. It's good for trade, tourism, so movement of goods and passengers. An example we've looked at is Liverpool 2, which costs 400 million, and that means that it can handle some of the world's largest container ships. This has increased capacity for trade, it's provided jobs, and remember that is significant because Liverpool is in the north, and think about the north-south divide, so providing jobs in the local economy to reduce the inequality, and it has allowed cruise tourism. You've got rail, so a specific example I would talk about for rail due to HS2 being scrapped is the TransPennine, so between Manchester, Leeds and York. I have been on that train between Leeds and Manchester. It is often overcrowded. There is not enough seats. It is often late or delayed. So the upgrade will help improve the stations, it will improve capacity, and it will reduce the journey times, making it more accessible for people to travel between those northern cities, which is good for the northern powerhouse. Remember though, HS2 was scrapped due to a lack of funding in the north. So originally it was meant to come to Leeds and it was scrapped, and then it was meant to come to Manchester. The government said they are going to put that money into improving transport in the north, but that is something you could evaluate. Road. So the Highways Agency announced in 2021 they were going to spend 15 million on improving and expanding UK roads. That is all the way from small things like fixing potholes and speed cameras, etc., stuff like that, but also improvements to motorways. So they made smart motorways where they can control how the flow of traffic, which is going to reduce journey time, quicker deliveries, helping the UK economy. And then airports. Airports in the UK are really important. They contribute 4% of the UK's GDP. So in 2024, last year, 600,000 flights departed the UK, carrying more than 240 million passengers. Heathrow Airport is one of the busiest airports in the world, one of the busiest in Europe. So they are aiming to put another runway. This has been very controversial, but they are hoping to put it in place, and it's going to create over thousands of jobs and boost the local economy. You could criticise this, though, for saying it is in the south, not in the north. Leading on to the north-south divide. What is it? Remember, businesses tend to set up in the south of England, creating a wealth divide. Your industry was typically in the north, and all the tertiary and quaternary started to set up in the south when deindustrialisation was happening. That has led to the north having lower incomes, higher unemployment, and a lower standard of living. The government don't invest as much money into northern cities. Sometimes in your exam, this might be called regional inequalities. Some strategies on the right then are devolving powers. So that is giving your local council, so Leeds City Council, the opportunity to spend money on what they see fit. So regeneration or transport. So they've obviously improved the city centre train station. They have built South Bank, which is an example of regeneration. That is devolving powers. They hope to bring more businesses in. So you could argue that has worked because Channel 4's headquarters are right outside Leeds Station now. You also have enterprise zones. There are about 55 in the UK. They are designed to encourage businesses to come into the local area because they offer them tax incentive tax breaks, simplified planning, and financial incentives. The government are basically saying, please come and set your business up in the north, or the local council is saying, please come and set your business up in the north. In return, we will give you tax benefits if you employ local people. So that's going to help unemployment rates. And then you've got strategy is the Northern Powerhouse, which is criticised for being more of a plan and idea than actually being putting something into fruition. They are attracting investment in northern cities, and they are improving transport links, so the TransPennine electrification project. And then finally, the UK's links with the wider world. This is not a very nice part of the spec. I don't like it, but it is quite difficult to answer. So you can talk about transportation. So as I've suggested earlier on in the video, Heathrow is one of the busiest airports in the world. It connects to Europe, but also the other continents and long-haul flights. You also have the Channel Tunnel, which is a great piece of infrastructure connecting Europe with the UK, making it easy to travel between the two. Trade, so importing and exporting. 50% of UK trade is with the EU. That is obviously more difficult now because of Brexit, but our main trading partners now are the USA, Germany, China, Netherlands, and France. And the UK's largest exports are machinery and transport equipment. You can discuss Brexit here and talk about tariffs, etc., making it more expensive to trade. That's absolutely fine. Culture, so literature, music, cinema, sports, television, history, architecture. The UK's culture holds a global significance. Peppa Pig, remember, is popular in over 170 countries. Harry Potter, think about Harry Potter around the world and how fascinated people are with it. That is British culture. UK sporting events, Wimbledon's a great example, the Premier League, the London Marathon. They are shown around the world. They also bring tourism to the UK. And then political ties with numerous countries, and I discussed the Commonwealth here, which is one of the oldest political organisations, 53 countries. We have things that you could talk about here, link political and cultural. You could talk about the Commonwealth Games and all the countries coming together. But that is how the UK links with the wider world: transport, trade, culture, and political. There is also communication, so with the big internet cables, which we did discuss in class. If you need any help with your revision on this section, please come and find me. I can give you some more info.